one of the major financial goals that people have without even realizing it is the need to travel and see new places, the need to take a vacation. And well, it can be as simple as going to a neighboring location. For people in Mumbai, it can be like going to Lonavala or Mahabaleshwar, or it could be like going to Europe or going even further to South America or maybe even North America. And how do you plan that is the question. A lot of people tend to do this in an arbitrary fashion, but is it possible for you to set this to a goal and to a plan and for you to save on an ongoing basis towards this goal? I'm joined today by Dilshad Bilamoria, who's the Managing Director and Chief Financial Planner of Dilshad Consultants Private Limited. Thanks so much, Dilshad, for taking the time. So the first question to you, is it possible to save for this on an ongoing basis?
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. And, everyone would want to travel overseas. And I think if with a little bit of planning and discipline and systematic investment, I think one can reach whatever goal they may want to. So yes, it's possible.
So it's possible. Let's discuss how. But before we do, would you agree that most people spend on an arbitrary basis whenever they do plan for travel, and particularly because they're not really certain about where they're going to go next, right? One year you might just go to Thailand, or you might go to Kerala or to the Maldives, but you don't know where you're going to go the next year. You could well just go to Rajasthan.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the important thing is that if someone uses a domestic domestic goal for vacation, the benefit is that the accumulated corpus would increase for the next year, and they can use that for an international vacation. So they could keep changing the destination, but the idea is that, say somebody is very fixed on, say I want to travel to Europe in the next 5 years, and today's cost is, say, 6 lakhs. So what do I need to do to achieve this?
Okay. So, yeah, so let's start with that, right? Assuming that we're talking about two people and you're talking about a relatively expensive holiday. Let's face it, not everybody can spend 6 lakhs of rupees in any given year, right? So how do you save towards that?
Yeah. So let's take an example of a couple, two people who, say today's cost of overseas travel to Europe is 6 lakhs. So, and we are in 2025. So by the time in 2030, the first year's cost is going to be about 8.4 lakhs. Now, assuming this couple wants to travel every year to Europe from 2030, 10 years hence, so till about 2039. Therefore, if they were to do a regular systematic investment plan towards achieving this corpus, the accumulated net present value of this corpus is about 68 lakhs. And therefore, if they have today 68 lakhs, then they are set to travel, for the next 10 years after 2030. But assuming they set aside a monthly SIP, that's about 82,000 a month that they need to set aside on a monthly basis. Well, Alex, there is an interesting twist to this. So if I may, I can even share the step-up SIP concept.
Got it. Okay. So therefore, let's also talk about that because ultimately, as you grow in your career and your income earning potential goes up, the canvas and the atlas, shall we say, also opens up to you. Your options become wider. So therefore, how do you use that higher income and earning potential?
Right. So absolutely. I think the power of compounding is what is actually shown, demonstrated very well in this. Now, say, for example, I start with an SIP of 2,000, like I said, in year 2025, and then I increase that by, just 15% per year. right? So my next year's SIP is going to be 94,300, and then it goes to 1,08,000, and then it goes to 1,24,000 and 1,43,000, and this is monthly SIP outflow. Now, assuming a growth rate of 15% to achieve my initial target of 68 lakhs, I would be able to achieve it in 3 years, just 3 years, Alex, and not 5 years. Which means because of my, increased or step up SIP that I'm doing, I'm actually able to reach a corpus about 71 lakhs in 2027. So either I, reduce my expense, or I increase my SIP, or I choose a destination that is fancier than what it is currently. And even if I were to take the conservative average growth rate of the index over the last, 15, 20 years, that growth rate is at about 12%. Now, even with that growth rate of 12%, and assuming I step up the SIP, I'm still able to achieve this goal in 3 years with a corpus of about 62 lakhs. And therefore, this is the power of compounding, and this is the power of step up SIP that works even better compared to a normal one-time SIP.
But these are large amounts that we're talking about, right? So what have we assumed for the amount of monthly SIP?
Right. So in the illustration, 82,000 is the monthly SIP per month, and this is because we took a initial 6 lakhs kind of destination cost of Europe for 2 people. Now, if you were to break that down to one person, then it's going to be halving everything, right? You need to just accumulate roughly about 38 to 40 lakhs in a matter of over, which will be your net present value over 10 years. And your SIP outflow will reduce. So instead of 82, you do an SIP of about 40,000 a month, and you keep increasing that by 15% growth rate. And assuming the markets grow at 15%, again, you will be able to achieve your corpus much faster.
Okay, now it must be said that these numbers, when you put them on an Excel sheet, particularly, they look really. Sometimes they look scary. Sometimes they look amazing. When you're seeing your money compound, and you say that in just a handful of years you're reaching 60 plus lakh rupees, it sounds incredible, right? But let's also face it, Dilshad, not everybody goes to Europe every year, right? So you can have a situation where you do this once every 3 or 4 years, in fact, and you might just do a smaller vacation, which is far more affordable. For 2 people, you're talking about $1.5 lakh at the most that people might spend in any given year. So therefore, what you're suggesting is you actually save towards this goal, but then you don't necessarily have to spend all of it towards travel, right? You can actually divert it towards other purposes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to give you a perspective on the numbers, Alex, so say somebody wants to, spend $1.5 lakh. I'm just trying to rework the numbers as we speak. The kind of amount that you will need after 5 years, assuming, $1.50 lakh is about 2,10,000. And the SIP one time would be, the fixed SIP would be 20,000 a month, which is, a bit more affordable. And if you step that 20,000 up every year, you'll be able to achieve your corpus within 3 years at 15% and a little over 3 years at 12%.
And if you're stepping it up, of course, and you start small, of course, you can achieve that target much faster, of course, and you will also have the opportunity to have a larger spending power in 4 or 5 years' time. Right, because you're going to take a certain amount from this, and you're going to maybe skim off the surface, and then your corpus keeps growing and going up. But the question is, if you are planning your international travel, Dilshad, should you also budget for depreciation of currency, or should you not worry about this? This return that we're building in takes into account that as well.
Well, that's a tricky one because as we see, USD INR depreciation seems to be the highest today. When it comes to Europe, also the depreciation is in the rate of about 3 to 3.5% per year. But what I've taken into consideration in budgeting this cost, Alex, is basically the stay, the visa costs, the per day costs of food and other, kind of miscellaneous items, and the travel cost. Now, if one were to budget in for, the rupee depreciation, I think one good way of doing this is actually holding currency in USD, right? And of course, this is not allowed by everyone. There will have to be a guidance as to who can set up the RFC accounts or the accounts where you can hold monies in foreign currency. But that will negate the risk of currency exchange fluctuation.
What about investing in investment avenues that give you dollar value? That, for example, your outward-facing mutual funds. Of course, the options are not as many as they were when the limits were not breached. But there are a few options in GIFT now that allow you to have that outward-facing exposure.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So there are options using the LRS route, where up to $250,000 a year an investor can invest in global markets and get the benefit of not only US diversification, but across markets of Europe, China, Taiwan, US as well. And the monies are held in exchange differential. In fact, this is a good place to keep the money even for education purposes for your children, right? So yes, that's a possibility using the LRS route.
Fantastic. And you know what, we'll talk about this in a whole separate show, but we've kind of given you a sense of what you can achieve if you do plan ahead for the places that you want to visit, whether it is to see the Northern Lights or to see Mexico. Dilsha, thanks so much for taking the time. Pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of Your Money Matters. Thanks so much for watching, and do stay tuned. This is NDTV Profit.